right, sorry about that. If I had a team like Jake's, I'd still be up here talking. So, no, we appreciate everybody coming out on Sunday. I know there's a lot going on. Also appreciate that 75 team coming back. You know, there's only been a handful of teams that have won national titles at the University of Northern Iowa, and those guys are one of them. And to have those guys back was great. I think they all felt good about how they were received. I know they had a great, I guess, induction ceremony in the Commons. All the coaches got to get up and talk, and you know, the cool thing about it is those guys kind of picked up right where they left off. Some of those guys hadn't seen each other for maybe 15, 20 years, and it was just like back to old times, you know. And I think that's one thing great about sport in general, but you know, wrestling. I mean, you've kind of been bonded through maybe pain, bonded through a lot of experiences. You know, it was really cool to see those guys and to see them guys back in the West Gym again and kind of see their eyes light up when they were out on that mat. And when they got in the room, and I talked to them a little bit before we went out there, and how fired up those guys were just to be back and to see our guys in there getting warmed up to getting ready to battle. And you can kind of see things going back in their head like, yeah, man, I remember when I used to do this and how great it was. So we thank everybody that came out and supported those guys and supported our team yesterday. Wasn't a great meet by any means. You know, I guess give our guys a little bit of credit. You know, when you get pinned the first two matches, and then you know, you kind of watch that, and as a guy watching that, sometimes it's hard to get things going because, you know, I just saw two guys get beat and pinned, and yeah, I think you maybe get that deer in the headlights. But I thought Gunnar did a really good job. I know he gave up the first takedown, but but then he scrambled right out of it, and then the crowd got up on their feet and got crazy because of the effort. And you know, that's one thing that we love about our fans is they acknowledge effort, they acknowledge hustle. You know, they know the sport well, and he did a good job of doing that. Even though he got taken down, he was right out, and then he was right back on him, and ended up wrestling a really good match. He's been wrestling well. He's starting to get more confident. He's being a really hammer on top. I like how Gunnar Wolfensberger's wrestling. You know, and then Jensen, the guy beat him last year, so you know, it's always good to get a win back on a guy that has beaten you before. And that guy just placed in the Midlands, so that was a good win for him. And like I said, when you have a couple guys in front of you that get beat, sometimes it's hard to change the momentum, and those guys did a good job of changing that momentum and getting it back in our favor. Kind of the next three matches were a little bit of the same script. You know, we're handling the guy pretty well. I think we're going in the third period where it looks like, you know what, hey, we're going to get bonus points here. We're going to put the nail in the coffin. We're going to put the hammer on this guy, and then we kind of let the guy back in the match a little bit. So for whatever reason, we weren't finishing matches. We got to get that taken care of, and that's something that, to me, it has nothing to do with not being in shape. Our guys are in shape. Sometimes nerves. Sometimes just not even breathing out there. I know it seems crazy, but sometimes that happens to guys. And you know, those are things that we got to work on, but they can be corrected. They can be corrected like that. So we got to get those guys so we can finish matches on Friday and Saturday this week. You know, we got two MAC teams coming in, and we have to be ready for it. So you know, kind of 65, 74, 84 was kind of all similar. Had a handle on the match and kind of let guy back in the match. And like I said, we don't want to ever let a guy have a chance to kind of resurrect himself, and we had that happen a little bit. 97, I thought Crum wrestled hard. You know, just got to be able to get to some tack, got to be able to score points. And then heavyweight, I thought Blaze hit some really good attacks. He's one of to me, he's one of the best or funnest heavyweights to watch. You know, when he's attacking. If he stands around and kind of plays a heavyweight game, then he's not very fun to watch. But that's not what gives him the best chance. So he had some really good attacks, and you know, like I said, we just got to keep building and getting better. We had a real good week of training, and you know, maybe guys felt that a little bit, but it doesn't really matter when you're out there, because I can tell you one thing: your opponent doesn't care. If you had a real hard week of training, if you're banged up a little bit, if your elbows hurt, your knees hurt, it doesn't matter. So I guess I'm not giving my guys a whole lot of outs, because you know, when they compete, they don't get any outs. So I can tell you this: we'll be better. We'll be more ready for Friday and Saturday. Hopefully, we can get that West Gym packed, because it is a great atmosphere. It's a great place to watch wrestling, and it's a great place to compete in. So if you guys can get out on Friday and Saturday, we certainly appreciate it. So with that, any questions?